Hedera HBAR and Quant QNT. Will these altcoins reach a $100 billion market cap come the 2025 bull run? Well, if you're asking me, I definitely do think it's on the cards. And of course, today, without giving the answer away, we're going to explore that exact answer. Of course, we're going to give you some examples and show you with one particular project. Now, there are multiple projects like this, but one particular project today that actually did this, that actually went from the current market caps both HBAR and QNT are at right now, right up to just under that $100 billion market cap. Now, you could technically say that's about 100x, and it just about is 100x, okay? Now, we aren't factoring in supply in this case, which does obviously alter the multiples here, but to keep it nice and simple, KISS, right? We're going to obviously not factor that in today, and we're just going to look at the market cap growth, okay? Because that more or less does reflect to how far or how many multiples the projects can make themselves. So can it be done with both these projects? Let's take a closer look. So the example I'm going to show you first is with Cardano, okay? So some of you guys who have seen the channel grow over the last few months know I like to use Cardano as an example for this because I like to look at QNT and HBAR as both projects who are actually probably better or have more potential than Cardano, at least explosive potential, okay? So we're looking at Cardano over here. Yes, there was less projects around back then. Yes, Cardano is a very, very popular project, and so is the founder, Charles. But I do think, all right, we are starting to find these projects growing and growing and growing. What I noticed and have noticed for a long time now is both of these projects, we'll look at in a second, have actually maintained within the top 50 social dominance and social engagements, right? So which means we're always seeing people looking into both of these projects. We have a lot of influencers like myself talking about them, of course, which definitely helps, but there's obviously a big interest with both of these projects. And so I definitely do think without a shadow of a doubt, both these projects should find a similar sort of explosive potential in the bull run. Okay, so let's, of course, explore this a bit more. So this is, of course, Cardano's chart against BTC here, just for reference, but we're going to also take into consideration something that I like to talk about a lot here, and that's market dominance. Now, this is the market dominance chart, but we'll kind of start off here with Cardano's chart with Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin halving happened in about May of 2020, and Cardano's market cap at this point was about $1.2 billion. So actually, it's pretty well the exact same as QNT, and HBAR's is slightly higher, of course. And what happened exactly 23.5 months later, matter of fact, it was a week off being exactly 24 months later, well, 80x, okay? So in just about 2 years, Cardano went from a $1.2 billion market cap at the halving to literally actually just over $95 billion market cap, which is incredible. Again, it's an 80x. So again, the market cap right here is just under that 100x level. And of course, if we factor in things like inflation and stuff like that, it doesn't quite turn out the exact same, but more or less we can say Cardano went from like a 5 cent level right up to about $3. Okay, so yes, it can most definitely happen to these projects, which is amazing to know. And they're very, very similar in the case of HBAR to actually these price levels as well. So if we come in here and have a look at this information a little bit more, we begin to realize a few things, okay? If you look at the market dominance. So again, kind of pulling out the halving over here, so May 11th, 2020. Well, Cardano's dominance was at 0.49% over here, with the global market cap being about $206 billion. So what that pretty much says is the global market cap was $206 billion out of all the projects combined. And out of all that, Cardano had about 0.49% of that market share, meaning if you then multiply that, so if you take 209 billion or 206 billion, multiplied by 0.49%, that comes up with the about same market cap as what Cardano was at that time, okay? I'd like to briefly interrupt this program with a very special announcement. Guys, if you wanted to support all the hard work I put into making these videos for you, then there's 2 links down below I'm going to suggest you take a look at. The first is a sign-up link to BitGet, which is one of the best exchanges in the space. These guys have a $300 million user protection fund and proof of reserve, so they're one of the safest exchanges and is the one I personally use for all my crypto investments. And for you non-traders out there, for you guys like me who prefer to invest and acquire the most important information and from the most reputable sources, then Token Metrics have also sponsored this channel, guys. They've offered you guys a free subscription to their basic plan, which is typically worth $20 a month or basically $200 a year. So please, if you take your investing seriously and want the most up-to-date information, go check out the links down below, guys. I've got you covered, and thank you for supporting me. Now, with that said, back to the video. Now, interestingly enough, it actually 10x. It equally went up when the market went up, okay? So in pink here is the market dominance, of course. In this greenish color is the price of Cardano. And what we found was the global market cap here literally almost exactly 10x'd. and so too the market dominance of Cardano, which in my opinion means that Cardano obviously maintained its market share. Bitcoin went up, so did Cardano, right? It didn't lose it or it didn't gain any extra. It just maintained it, which is an important thing to look at here. We'll come back to in a moment with both of these projects. So as I kind of mentioned over here, from the halving, it just pretty much followed, right? So Bitcoin, for example, went up. In this case, if we were to extrapolate it, if Bitcoin or the global market went up 100x, Cardano would follow it 100x as well in terms of market dominance, right? So if we now come down here and have a look at both of these projects, what's QNT's and HBAR's market dominance right now? Well, on HBAR's side, it's about 0.14%, and over here for QNT, it's just less at 0.11%. So if we were to kind of follow the same principles here, now the general kind of consensus with everyone is the global market cap in 2025 will go between a $5 to $10 trillion global market cap. And so again, if that kind of 10x's from here, we're currently about a $1.16 trillion level, okay? So if we 10x, it'll be about 11 trillion. And in this case, if both these projects maintain their market share, if they did what Cardano did and just kind of 10x as well, we get a 1.4% and a 1.1% market dominance for the projects respectively. Likewise, if they still maintain their market dominance, if the market went to like 5.1 trillion, we'd have HBAR at 0.7% and QNT at 0.55%. Now, if you're asking me, I think that they will do a very similar thing to Cardano, wherein they follow the market. The market 10x's, I believe their market dominance will maintain in 10x. Matter of fact, I think they could definitely break away. And there's a few different situations when that could actually happen, which is what I'm going to talk about in just a second here. So what does this all mean? Well, safe to say the market dominance will grow likely between a 5 to 10x, as I said, between the $5 to $10 trillion global market cap. And keep in mind that we do have about 8 months away from the halving, which means that the market dominance could grow on both of these projects as well. So they might end up being like 1.7% for HBAR at the top, or even 1.5% for QNT. Again, they could also break out of this as well. So how do I know these projects will 5 to 10x their market dominance levels? Because, it's easy for me to say, hey, look, I think both these projects will most definitely hold at minimum this level, right? They'll grow with the market. Well, that's kind of harsh to say, right? Anyone can go ahead and say that. Well, the reason is because one, they're making huge waves in the space and are always ranking within the top 50 altcoins by way of social engagements. They never really fall below that level, and if they do, it's very quickly up. So they're always in the eyes of the buyer or the retail investor, which is very important. I know for a fact, my channel, I definitely get a whole heap more views on videos regarding HBAR and QNT, period, okay? Number two, they will almost certainly have a huge upgrade, partnership, or announcement that will push the price up when the market isn't ready. We'll go over some of the more recent ones in a second, and they are both in powerful narratives which will break out at some point. So if we go over here to, again, this is ADA's chart. It's the same chart we looked at over at the top here, but I cover some important things here, right? So when ADA, which is obviously in blue here, breaks out, so Bitcoin's obviously in orange, when obviously ADA sort of goes against the trend, right? It goes up when Bitcoin's going down. It could be things like narratives, for example. So there is a such thing as narratives in crypto where projects as a whole, a general sort of narrative, right? A whole bunch of similar projects will push their price up all at once because people are like, oh, layer 2s, layer 1s, DeFi, oracles, interoperability, whatever it might be. They all buy in those sort of projects, and the money typically flows to the best projects in that narrative as well. And that's one of the reasons why we have these massive spikes. Also, we have things like roadmap events and announcements that happen for projects individually, which can also be another reason why projects sort of launch up when Bitcoin is nowhere near that level, okay? And so obviously ADA has different circumstances for this. Likewise, if there is a bad news as well, you'll find projects might tank when Bitcoin's going up, okay? So it has a, two sides to the coin type of effect here. But the main reason I wanted to bring this out is I believe that they'll actually break out of this sort of trend where they follow the market dominance or at least go up with the market in general. I believe they'll actually break out of that at some point, like we found over here with Cardano, of course, right? Because of narratives and important events. And I think if we're looking at two projects here that are like most likely to have that sort of happen based on an announcement on like a good partnership or a collaboration, it's these two projects because they're working with like the elites of the elites, right? Quant's working with central banks all around the world and entire economies. And of course, HBAR's working with massive enterprises on a global scale here. So I kind of extrapolated this all out to kind of figure out once and for all Like all this stuff I'm talking about, like what does it actually come down to? Well, I've given a few different examples here, and I do think, again, we are going from two metrics. One, market dominance, and two, the fact that the market cap actually goes between two levels here. Again, between 5 to 10 trillion. It could go anywhere between there, and of course, the market dominance is completely dependent on any variables. Again, announcements, bad news, good news, narrative, so on and so forth, okay? But to keep it simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Let's use this, right? So market dominance, if it were to plateau, which means right now, again, HBAR is about 0.14%, and QNT is about 0.11%. So if it were to stay at that level, which is actually bad, which means the projects aren't performing well at all, which I highly doubt that will happen, and the global market cap goes between 5 trillion to 10 trillion, what are the market caps? Well, of course, for HBAR here on the low side, 7 billion to 14 billion. Okay, so you can imagine that's quite bad, because if the global market cap goes to $10 trillion and HBAR maintains the current market dominance, right, of 0.14%, it's a $14 billion market cap, which still means, like, yes, we're still making some good money here. It's like a 1.6 billion right now. So that's like roughly a 10x or so. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, but we can all pretty well agree unanimously that that's very unlikely to happen. Now, on the other side of it, what does this look like for Quant? Well, Quant, of course, 0.11% market dominance right now. If the market cap was 5 trillion, it would be a $5.5 billion market cap. And over here, of course, on the max side, 11 billion. But of course, I highly doubt that's going to happen. So I've given a few examples here. Let's say, again, they follow. We're looking at following here. So if the market cap goes up from the current market cap of about $1 trillion, give or take, if the market dominance follows and 5x's as well, we'll find HBAR's market cap will go to $37 billion and QNT's to $29 billion. Okay, fair enough. Well, what happens if, again, we follow the same thing? Let's just say the market cap follows up and 10x's from here, and so too, again, both projects follow as well. Well, guess what? HBAR is going to $162 billion and QNT is going to 128. So, by means of comparing these projects with what happened to Cardano in the last bull run, if that same situation plays out with both of these projects, you are looking at insanely high prices here, insanely high prices. This, I believe, is about over a $4 HBAR, and this is like well and truly in the high, like 4 figures for QNT. Okay, and so of course, this is probably the best case situation. So I want to put that out there right now. And so what's some more realistic sort of situations that might happen here? Well, of course, if the market dominance for, let's just say, these projects on the good side of things actually 10x's, right? So it goes up 10x, but the market cap doesn't also 10x, which this could definitely play out. HBAR will go to a $75 billion market cap and QNT to a $59 billion market cap, okay? So that's still some high numbers, guys. That's not quite the $100 billion market cap that we so thought at the start of the video. And of course, on the other side of life, if the market dominance doesn't quite follow the market, if it lags behind, but the market shoots up in price to a 10x, we'd find HBAR at an 81 billion and 64 billion. Now, if you're asking me, I strongly believe we will find two situations play out. I believe we're going to go anywhere between this level to this level, okay? So for HBAR, I would say we're going to at least find a $37 billion market cap here, and for QNT, at least a $29 billion. On the high side of things, I think we'll find these two levels. Of course, these could also play out as well because things ebb and flow. And of course, it's always supported by this. So of course, we have HBAR with this massive news, QNT with arguably even bigger news. And of course, as time progresses over the next 2 years, I strongly believe both of these projects are going to have more awesome news that's going to come out and of course, help bolster that price up. As I mentioned over here, it'll help kind of push the market dominance out, kind of split it away from the market so that it can find those sort of situations where it might 10x the dominance, yet the market caps not 10xing as well, if that makes sense. One thing a subscriber mentioned to me on my live stream last night was actually that there is a very big issue here in terms of the market cap, because that is, again, one very big variable. And that is if the market cap doesn't go to these sort of high levels, maybe the dominance won't as well, because the dominance, of course, means that people are buying the projects. And if obviously the market cap is hindered, you might have less people wanting to buy in individual projects. Why? Well, because fiat on and off ramps right now are being attacked. Plain and simple, right? How hard is it for us to get money into crypto? Well, for those of you in the US, even over here in Australia, it's really, really hard right now, okay? So you have to go through a few different hoops, and this does mean it will most definitely affect the bull run, okay? So whether some sort of framework comes in between now and then to hopefully alleviate this, we don't quite know yet, but I dare say that the 10x on the global market cap might not happen unless we find a clear way to actually overcome these boundaries, okay? So I do think we'll probably see about a $6 to $7 trillion market cap. And so, of course, that means if HBAR and QNT both sort of 6x their market dominance as well, at least follow the trend, not even just break out, just follow the trend, they're going to get quite high, right? But not the 100 bill level that we so thought, at least in reference to the video. So guys, thank you so much for watching this. I really hope you have enjoyed. Hopefully, at anything, this has like taught you something new, okay? What to look for here. You know, you can use these things like market dominance and the global market cap variables to, of course, support these price predictions, and also, of course, factor in variables like new partnerships and maybe even some bad or negative news that comes out, okay? So with that said, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate every single one of you for sticking with me, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Take good care, guys. Talk soon. Bye.